Imagine not being able to read the paper because your hands were shaking. Imagine not being able to read newsprint as your world faded to black. The National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. Monthly Report. With your host, Lee Martin, and co-host, Florence Myers-McSwine.
We want to welcome you to the National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana Monthly Report. We want to thank everyone for tuning in and continuing to follow us. We also want to thank the subscribers of the service. This free service has been a great assistance to many Indiana residents. Wouldn't you say, Florence?
It certainly has been.
So what the National Federation of the Blind Newsline does, it allows free access to over 460 stateside publications and also 15 international publications. This free service also is sponsored by the Talking Book and Braille Library Services here in Indiana. You can access this service, and Florence, would you tell the subscribers how they can access?
Yes, sir. You can access the service in various ways. For instance, I choose to use my iPhone. I use my iPhone. I have an app on my phone, and I access the service that way. A lot of people prefer using their landline phone. Some like to use their computers. Others like to use their Victor Reader Stream. And then there is a digital recorder. It comes from the Library of Congress. So they can access NFB Newsline that way also. Now with that, we also have access to not only newspapers, but magazines as well. So there's various ways to do that.
And we would like for you to pay attention to the commercials, as all that information is there, how to contact us and how to access the service. So we'll be right back after this break with our great guest today, and I can't wait. So we'll see you soon.
I'm Danny Wayne Beamer, Program Manager of the Elder Blind Program at the Will Center in Terre Haute, Indiana. I introduced the NFB Newsline to seniors in 13 southwestern counties in Indiana. I also utilize the NFB Newsline for my radio station public affairs shows. The NFB Newsline. Experience it today.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind, and we read NFB Newsline.
If you or someone you know is visually impaired or print challenged, the National Federation of the Blind has a resource you need.
Wow, I scored a touchdown when I found sports on NFB Newsline.
I enjoy reading TV guide listings on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind. We read NFB Newsline.
It's free.
Welcome back to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline Indiana Monthly Report with our host Lee Martin and our special guest today, Miss Ellen Lane, a former educator. So welcome to the show, Miss Lane.
Thank you, and thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, it's our pleasure to have you here today, and we just want to cover a myriad of issues, and I tell you, it is our pleasure to have you here. So tell us a little about the service that you've heard us speak of the National Federation of the Blind Newsline. You had a mother, I had to say your mother, and sorry to say that she did pass away.
Yes, she did.
And prior to her passing, she lost her sight. And would you want to share a little bit about how she lost her sight and to us?
I will do that. My parents lived for over 60 years in the Butler-Tarkington area. And both of my parents are professional musicians. My father taught instrumental music. He was a jazz musician. And they both opened the home to students. And they were teaching students. My father taught about 5 or 6 instruments, and my mother taught piano. She taught from little tinies for age 4 all the way up to adults. In the community, they were known as the music people. In 2007, in April of 2007, they were preparing to go to Africa on a mission trip. They were telling people, you know, we're getting ready to leave. This is the story I'm finding out from the street. And 2 people who are drug addicts decided before they left, they would kind of eliminate some of the money that my parents were going to take with them on the trip. So they were beaten, my parents were beaten and robbed in their home in April, just before they left for Africa. They were beaten to the point that both of them sustained brain injury. My father had a broken collarbone, my mom had broken jaw. They were never able to stay in the home. Once I found them that evening after the beating, they were in hospitals and rehab centers for the rest of their lives. My father still lives. He's in assisted living. My mother began to lose her sight and kind of hallucinate about what she thought she saw. Even when she tried to play the piano, she would say, why are the notes so dark? She could still play from memory, but the brain injury kept her from remembering a lot of things. Over the last 3 years of her life, she gradually went totally blind. She had to be led everywhere. We would have to tell her where her food was on her dinner plate. We would have to tell her, you know, we're going to the left, to the right to get her to her room. She became a fall risk. Her bed had to have rails on it so that she didn't lose her equilibrium and roll out of bed. She passed away in 2007. And for us, music still remained our big connection. We would have scriptures read to her. We would have lots and lots of visits and families talking to her, reminiscing about her life. She didn't understand why she couldn't see those things until about the last year. And then she realized that she was blind. And that was an adjustment for our whole family, having this vibrant woman that was always out in the community, loved to dance, loved to travel, loved to be in the social butterfly kind of mode, had this person pretty much docile, non-responsive, and just slept a lot toward the end. She just almost looked like she kind of lost hope in life. But the programs that you offer, and I would not wish mental or brain injury on anyone.
Amen.
But to know that these services, watching you and your devices, having met you back in October, and you were talking about the glasses that enable you to see shadows and enable you to navigate, I became just fascinated. My mother would have benefited from these kinds of adaptations to her lifestyle, even at the end. My father, like I said, still lives. He lives in assisted living. The main thing he has is like dementia and just kind of remembering things. So his vision as of right now is okay. But my mother probably would have loved to have been able to work the phone. She did have a cell phone up until about the last year and a half of life. Of course, she couldn't operate it. So your devices being adaptive, she could have communicated with us. There are just so many things that she could have benefited from had she had that opportunity.
Well, I want to give you my condolences on that, and I am kind of awestruck right now, simply because, there's another correlation with blindness and violence.
Yes.
I just want to say so much, but I guess I can't say it on air. But our society and our community need to start pulling together because our elders are being attacked and being misused and abused, and bringing about awareness to this, and individuals that are blind and vision impaired and coping with dyslexia, and can read and learn more about what's available in our communities for them to be viable citizens.
Yes.
And Florence, your take on this, please.
You said that because your mother was blind, then it touched you.
Oh, yes.
You said, okay, well, we've got a connection.
Yes, we do.
And,
Exactly.
we've talked to you about the Newsline service, the magazines and things like that. We've had so many people, so many subscribers talk to us about how the service has benefited them. So many have told us that, it's opened up a world to them that they didn't know would exist to them now. They've said that it's like having global news at their fingertips. And so, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for being a guest on our show and for sharing your story.
Well, thank you. Yes, dancing is one of my favorite pastimes, and as was my mother's. She did line dancing and clogging, and we always called her the dancing grandma. In fact, her license plate on her car said dancing grandma. And meeting you at Washington Park, as you came to tell us about your organization, and I made that connection with you, I was able to connect also with my sorority. I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority.
And we'll get back into that.
Okay.
I think we're getting ready to take a break.
Yeah, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back, and we're going to talk more about our meeting and some of the great things that we're collaborating to do in our community. So we'll see you guys shortly, and no pun intended on see you. We'll be right back.
If you or someone you know is visually impaired or print challenged, the National Federation of the Blind has a resource you need.
I am a CFP practitioner, and I happen to be blind. I rely on NFB Newsline to keep me current with Wall Street Journal and the Financial Times.
Hoosiers can hear Indiana magazines, circulars, national magazines, and information from across the globe. Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org. If you or someone you know is visually impaired or print challenged, the National Federation of the Blind has a resource you need.
Wow, I scored a touchdown when I found sports on NFB Newsline.
I enjoy reading TV guide listings on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind. We read NFB Newsline.
It's free.
And we want to welcome you back with our conversation with Miss Ellen Lane. And Miss Lane, tell us a little bit about you
Okay.
and what you're doing right now.
All right. I am a native of Indianapolis, went to Indianapolis Public Schools, graduated from Shortridge, did my education here in Indiana, returned from Evansville where I got my undergraduate degree and my master's degree from South Bend, Indiana University campus, and I've been teaching. I've taught in Indianapolis Public Schools, Washington Township Schools, and I now am retired, so they say, but I still sub and mentor and tutor in Pike Township. So I'm still with the children, my passion.
Now, in all your years of as an educator, did you teach any students that were blind or visually impaired that you know of?
Visually impaired, yes. I can remember one I taught primary grades, usually first, second, or third grade. And there was one little girl that at the time, so this goes back 20, 30 years before some of the technology that they have now, her glasses were extremely thick. And I had to do a lot of adaptive lessons for her, homework for her. Everything had to be enlarged. Made sure that she was near the board or near whatever she needed to be near in order to clearly see what was going on. I did a lot of tactile things with her, especially teaching her the letters of the alphabet. We cut out letters, we made letters with clay so that she got the tactile sense of the letter that she was trying to write. And I had quite a few students with diagnosed dyslexia. Many students.
Programs with the National Federation of the Blind and other programs that are out here would really benefit those students quite tremendously.
But 20 years ago, it was just kind of do what you can do to help them. And we always had in our reading books a story of Helen Keller. And we would always use Braille. I don't remember what there was a passage that we must have gotten from an organization like you that was in Braille, and the children got to feel the raised surfaces. And we had the alphabet also. Of course, time didn't allow us to really teach it, but they did feel it, all the students.
Yeah, because in our organization, we still believe that Braille readers are leaders, and it's just a different way of learning.
Yes.
But I tell you, some of the most magnificent people I've met have been Braille readers since I've lost my sight. Now, a little bit more about, you're with the AKA?
Yes, I am.
Alpha Kappa Alpha?
Alpha Kappa Alpha,
Okay.
Yes, sir. Alpha Mu Omega Chapter, Indianapolis, Indiana. And when I met you and we talked about different projects that you as an organization do, we have 5 targets, and one of our national targets is family strengthening. So I talked to Florence several times about things that you do as an organization, and she mentioned an angel tree project for Christmas. And I went back to the sorority and I said, here is an opportunity for us to reach a family that has one or maybe more members that are blind. Family strengthening. We want to strengthen and give to that family, so we did. You, in turn, for MLK Day, Martin Luther King Day, collaborated with Alpha Mu Omega Chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha when we made 100 backpacks and food for children to be distributed for that long weekend, because some of the children at this school don't have food during the weekends. They have to kind of fend for themselves. So our service project was to give them cereals and easy foods for taking home to their families. You donated backpacks and food. We donated backpacks and food, and that was distributed to the children at this school in that community. So you have adopted Alpha Kappa Alpha, and Alpha Kappa Alpha has adopted you. I'm also a member of the National Council of Negro Women. We also do projects. Our focus has been in the prison ministry, where we have taken foods and clothes and items to women's prison. I can probably figure out how we can connect these two organizations also. Those are the two main service, and I am a teacher, a retired teacher, and I belong to the National Sorority of Phi Delta Kappa. And with that, we work with teachers, we work with children, we work with reading, we encourage reading. We have a program where we log the amount of minutes that we read to children, because that's where all children, sighted and non, get the foundation for all of that they're learning. So we can collaborate with the teachers also as we introduce your methods of teaching reading with the established methods that teachers have used for a while. So there's a lot of opportunity here for
There's
more
a lot of opportunity,
more
between
collaborations.
the community, you know,
Oh,
the
yes.
community at large, because
Yes.
there's a lot of, I tell you, I've met blind Braille readers that
Yes.
read just as fast and comprehend what they read. Just educators. I met, blind citizens through all walks of life. And there's a lot of room because I truly believe that when we integrate both societies and our students at grade school levels, that they won't have this dilemma going on about, what can a blind person do or not do.
What I like about it, listening to you tell about the young lady that was in your class.
Yes.
You made a way. You found a way to help her read, to educate her.
Yes.
And I think that that's great. I think that my personal opinion is I like the idea that children integrate, that they're sighted children along with non-sighted or blind children. It gives them a chance to mingle, for children to understand that blind children are no different than they are.
I must say, it was 30 years ago when I was more active in the classroom, and our children were integrated.
Yes,
it was inclusive.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying that schools now don't do that, but I see a lot more isolation of the students, not as much incorporation. I had children with multiple sclerosis. I had children with feeding tubes. I had children with oxygen. Those students were included, and my students took care of each other. There was no real difference. They loved, they cared for each other, and they learned.
And that's a good lesson to be learned, and hopefully some people will adhere to that, because the accelerated school systems nowadays likes to kind of dispose of students that they consider to be slow.
Yes.
So we'll be right back here after our short break.
I just graduated college as a blind student. How can I independently find job listings?
Thanks to the National Federation of the Blind, visually impaired Hoosiers can hear newspapers, circulars, and magazines from across the globe.
It is a fantastic service.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind, and we read NFB Newsline. The National Federation of the Blind knows that blindness is not the characteristic that defines you or your future. Every day we raise the expectations of blind people because low expectations create obstacles between blind people and our dreams. You can live the life you want. Blindness is not what holds you back.
And thank you for watching this week's National Federation of the Blind Newsline. Miss Lane, do you have any final words for us today?
I was thinking of how God never makes a mistake. And He put me in Washington Park to meet you back in October to bring me to this point where we have made connections with you, your organizations, your lifestyle, with organizations that I belong to. And to whom much is given, much is expected. So you are given talents and gifts, and you are expected to share, as you're doing with this broadcast. It's now my opportunity to share what I'm learning here with other organizations so that we can interact. There's a connection that needs to be made in society in general. And this is how the good Lord blesses us to do these kinds of things. I am just humbled and honored to be in your presence, and I hope that what I have learned here today, I can go out and be a blessing to others and have them see society. There's not 6 degrees of separation like they say. I think it's only 2. A left separation and a right separation. I really believe that we are very, very interconnected, and the more we connect, the more we're blessed.
And I want to say it's a blessing to meet you.
Yes, ma'am.
And we always say, make it a great day, and go and bless someone else.
The National Federation of the Blind Indiana Monthly Report. For more information, go to nfb-in.org or call 855-963-6476. That's 855-963-6476. The National Federation of the Blind encourages you to live the life you want.
As I travel the nation, I read NFB Newsline.
I live in Valparaiso, Indiana, and I listen to my local news on NFB Newsline.
As a student, I enjoy reading current events on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Subscribe free to NFB Newsline today.